Hello there, and welcome back to the Sky Guys podcast. Instant reaction edition to The Mandalorian and Grogu came out in theaters on Friday. We went and saw it. We're here. We our first take on. We have a few weeks of coverage here. One of your hosts, Mike Phillips. Unfortunately, Pete Considori is traveling. He's not able to make the pod this week. We didn't want to make you wait that long, but I do have with me here one of the key figures on that deck of cards that Colonel Ward has. Nick Fraietta is here. Nick, how are you?
Doing great. Very excited to talk about the movie. It was awesome to see it. I want to hear what you think.
Yeah, we'll talk about all that. A lot of fun stuff here. As we cover you a quick little reaction here, about 30, 40 minutes. Just, quick thoughts here. Pete will be here next week, and we'll do a full deep dive into the movie, all the plot in thorough detail. But safe to say, Mick, I think you and I both had fun with this.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think the majority of the fandom did as well. So we're going to get into some specifics, not too much, but like you said, we want to do something a little longer and when Pete is back. But at the same time, we're definitely going to talk about it a little bit. So let's do that.
Yep, we will do that here. And if people want to subscribe to this guy, guys, do so Apple Podcasts, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, Amazon, all usual suspects. Simply search for the Sky Guys on your favorite podcast platforms for episodes there. And we have we have a little bit before we get more content after these movies. We got time to chew on a little bit. We have some fun stuff planned. Make sure you're subscribed.
We do have some good stuff, and it'd be a shame if you didn't subscribe. So please do.
Yep, absolutely here. And also, you can mention here the social media comments of the week. You follow social media. How do they do that?
You can follow at Sky Guys Podcast all over social media, and you can email us at skyguyspod@gmail.com.
Yep, let's go to our social media comment of the week. Now that I mentioned here, we'll go to TikTok here. Week 3 of Maul Shadow Lord with two boots. And this comment is from Wrath of Sin TTV. This man was all for protocol until he got told to take those boots off. Now he's like, hold up. So it seems like maybe, we said how Maul ended. It seems like this guy, Wrath of Sin TTV, was onto something.
Yeah, maybe, and maybe Droid's starting to think for himself a little bit, huh?
Yeah, it paid off for him.
Yeah, absolutely did.
Yeah, absolutely here. And let's go ahead and there's a lot of Star Wars that happens in our last records. We're kind of split it up a little bit. We'll do some now. Let's do some with Pete. So you want to guess through some of the stuff that happened real quick. Some of the stuff that's not as relevant to the movie.
Yeah, so voice actor Tom Kane, who was a narrator in the Clone Wars, who we kind of base our entire intro around, really, with Pete doing the intro. Um, Also voiced Yoda and a couple other characters in the show. He passed away at the age of 64, so devastating news there.
Yeah, rest in peace, Tom. And a little disappointed that he kind of slipped through the cracks within the official Star Wars accounts. Like he gave a lot to the franchise.
Yeah, it's really a shame to see him go. Next here, Jon Favreau said in an interview with comicbook.com that he once considered making a new holiday special starring The Mandalorian after season one. And we know us and our friend Kyle Newman would have loved that.
Yeah, Kyle Newman would definitely love to get the new age Star Wars holiday special here. And you know what? Enough time has passed that like maybe one of these days we'll get one of these.
It may be, and hopefully it's a little bit different than the first one.
Yep.
A separate interview that Favreau had with Games Radar, he said that he has a lot of plans for Grogu after The Mandalorian and Grogu, noting that his species lives for centuries. He's on a path to becoming both a Jedi and a Mandalorian.
Yeah, and we talked about this in the preview show a little bit here. Like, we are thinking agree here that the future of this franchise is the little puppet, is Grogu, because like he has by far the highest approval rating of any character outside the original trilogy that you can actually use right now. And I mean, considering Favreau's right, like this character, like Yoda lived to 900. Like he's only 50 years old, maybe 51, 52 at the time of the movie. Like, would not be shocked, if we're sitting here in like 30 years, we're still doing Grogu stuff in Star Wars projects.
Maybe it depends on how people get sick of him or not. As of now, I don't think some people are, I'm sure, but I don't think many people are. So,
Nope.
last here is Damon Lindelof revealed new details about his version of the Rey movie, including plans to reunite the three main characters from the sequel, that being Finn, Poe, and Rey, and explored a clash between the force of nostalgia and the force of revision. He also said the writing was a challenge due to the question of the tone, canon, connections to Rise of Skywalker, and when it was and whether or not this is meant to launch a new trilogy or just be a standalone movie.
Yeah, before we dive into this, like, what do you think about what he had to say here about like he wanted to have the three characters in the sequels in it. He wanted to do this whole like motif. So I've seen it described like the Protestant Reformation of Star Wars is in some forums here. Like, what do you think about like what his idea was?
I think they wish that they did that with the sequels, with the original trilogy characters. Having the three of them on screen together would have been nice, but I I don't know. It sounds like a good idea for those who were sequel fans, but like as time goes on, I feel like there's fewer and fewer of those people.
Yeah, also the way he talked about, like, okay, like we had issues with canon, we had issues with, whether it's supposed to be a new trilogy or not. We know there is a trilogy in development theoretically with Simon Kinberg. Like, it feels like there was a lot of meddling from Lucasfilm at the top here, kind of just, okay, like Uncle, I'm out. Like, somebody else deal with this.
Yeah, I mean we know that we both agree. I think this movie's not going to happen, but um, I guess any news about it is still worthy to discuss.
Yeah, there are rumors offline going on right now. We'll keep an eye on them about what, like maybe Starfire setting this up at some point, but we can discuss that in a future time. Is that it for the news?
Yes, it is.
All right, so that's it for the news here. Mandalorian and Grogu comes out here, so obviously, I think we talked about this top here. Very fun movie, like not earth-shattering stakes. It felt like very approachable. Like if you have not seen the show before, any of it, you'll be fine. They give you a little title like card at the beginning, say, okay, here's what's going on. Here's this guy, Mandalorian. Here's Din Grogu, his apprentice. So they're gonna go fight bad guys for the New Republic. Like I felt like a lot of fun. It does feel like an upscale version of like what you get in the show. I think still a good time at theater. I think if you go in and the bar is not like I expect this to shape the entire future of the Star Wars franchise, you'll have a lot of fun. If you're going in hoping for either like Andor level like writing in the screen direction or like these stakes like oh this is going to be the thing it's up the next big thing, I think you're going to be disappointed if you're going into that. If you're going in to have fun with these two, I think you're going to have a great time.
I agree. So it's really what it is. It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
It's a blast. And like you just said, if you want to shape the future of Star Wars, not the right place. There's no groundbreaking. We're not spoiler free here, right?
No, we go ahead. You
Yeah.
haven't seen this.
So there's no groundbreaking reveal. I'm sitting there throughout the movie, and it's not a complaint, but I'm sitting there the entire movie waiting for the big reveal or the big like, oh, that's who it is, or that's what it was, or that's how it connects. It never happens. It
No.
never happens. It's just a fun adventure with the two beloved characters who, they're working for the New Republic. They're on a mission and get a little sidetracked, but beyond the point, and that's the movie.
Yeah.
That's the movie. There's no big connection. There's no Luke Skywalker cameo. There's none of that.
No, you don't need to have watched anything to go in this and have a good time. So somebody online, I forget who it was, had a great point of this. They said it's kind of like a Bond movie where you're coming in, Bond's in the middle of his mission, then the rest of the movie is Bond's next mission and like sort of his, struggles trying to get it done. If you take the Bond girls out and just kind of sub in a bunch of aliens, you have a James Bond Star Wars movie here.
It's not a bad connection there. It really isn't. Kind
Yeah.
of similar. Yeah, nothing really to add there.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a lot of fun in the theater here. So let's talk about the theater experience here. I was like you went opening night on Thursday night, like on the on preview day, so like the 8:30 showing, like at a local theater near you. Like, how was your theater experience?
Mine was terrible. I think it, but based on what I've heard from others, it's kind of I don't want to say my fault, but just like my fault in terms of where I chose to go and when I chose to go. I didn't see it in IMAX. I saw it in XL,
Yep.
which after seeing it, it's just regular.
It's a
There's no difference.
it's a new way of marketing it, basically.
Yeah, I thought it would be, and it's funny because when I was buying the tickets, I was like, "Oh, that's surprisingly cheap. This is great." There's a reason because I just saw it in regular, and they marketed it as something else. But maybe that's why. If I had went to one of the IMAX showings, perhaps it would have been a, better theater. For example, my theater was maybe 20 people, 25 total, probably 20 people total. And there was zero reaction whatsoever from anything. There was no clapping, there was no laughing, there was no gasping. It was just people sitting there watching the movie.
Yeah, and like how big was your theater for comparison? You said 20 people out of what?
It was a
Like,
big, that was a big theater. It wasn't as big as like those big IMAX theaters. I don't, I can't even take a guess of the total number of people that could have fit in there, but it was basically empty.
yeah. I had the opposite experience of you. I went on Friday night, 7:30, IMAX, like down in New Rochelle. I went with the KOTOR crew. I had Nick DeLessio, Max Roberts with me. Our theater was about like 80% full. And like they were getting pops on stuff with, a lot of Grogu laughs. You had like a couple people were engaged or like just wanted to get the previews out of like actually watch this movie. Like people were invested in this thing and it got a nice little hand at the end of the movie, which was a nice time to see.
Yeah, the previews were so long. I don't know if that was Universal. I couldn't believe there was another one every time. And then when they're done with with the previews, it depends on what theater you go to, like AMC or Regal. They have like three commercials for the type of theater you're in. Like, just start the damn movie.
Yeah, I had the IMAX preview, so like I had a lot of like IMAX civic stuff. I had there was three separate Minions cut-ins for the Minions
Yeah, I had
movies.
that as well.
The Minions movie looks terrible, by the way. It'll make $1 billion.
I don't know anything about Minions. I know kids like it though, so good for them.
Yeah, and I will say the IMAX experience definitely fun. I think if you can do it, it's worth the look if you can find the right time for it. Because like the space battles, like that opening fight with Mando, we're not calling it Hoth, the snow planet, when he's fighting the walkers, like that stuff pops when you're like in the IMAX. You have the full scale of how big these things are.
Yeah, I kind of I wish I did. It just unfortunately for the people that I was going with, and that's how I knew I was able to go at that time. It was that the options were either 7 or 10. 7 was too early, 10 was too late. So we jumped on the 8:30.
Yeah, that's for sure here. So I think let's talk a little bit like what stuck out to you from this film? What was like the most memorable stuff you remember watching in this movie?
Oh, the action. It was unbelievable. It was awesome.
Yeah,
Also the score, that song they kept playing, that techno type song was just so good. And the whole theater was like dancing to it whenever it came on. But the action was unbelievable. Also, honestly, I know it's like something that we're not supposed to talk about on this podcast, and it's fine if we mention one thing, but
yeah,
like the thing that's sticking out to me the most is how I realized after seeing the movie that the arena fight that they had was the chessboard from A New Hope.
yeah. That was
And,
pretty cool. They pulled it off.
and like seeing it and like watching the characters in A New Hope and seeing them again and like, oh yeah, wow, that's so cool, that's so cool. But the action was unbelievable. Almost every scene had good action.
Yeah, I mean, when he first walks in and like, I think Pete has described it to us in text, like it's like John Wick in Star Wars with the Mando stuff. That's what we're getting when he shows up to the Imperial base on the snow planet and he's just like mowing down like stormtrooper after stormtrooper after stormtrooper, and he's like destroying all these ships. And then you have like all this stuff, a lot of fun like with these action sequences here, and like. And you mentioned the fights with Raya the Hutt in the arena. It was like the hollow chess game for New Hope. Like that was really cool seeing all that play out.
Yeah, okay, seriously though, the action was just so good. Every single scene, the action was awesome. I was like on the edge of my seat in terms of the action the whole time. It was just a lot of fun in the theater. There's really no complaints I have at all with the the movie itself. If I had to pick one thing, I mean, you could easily say it's that, oh, there was no connection to anything else. That kind of stinks, whatever. Didn't really bother me. The only thing that actually bothered me at the time, but looking back, doesn't bother me anymore, was I feel like the movie was like about to end, and then Mando got sick, and then it was like a half an hour of Grogu in the forest, and then the climactic battle, and I felt like it kind of dragged. But looking back, I think that scene was really nice with Grogu by himself.
Yeah, it was cool because like I was sitting here like watching the theater, like this is like a long time to go, basically from like when Mando like gets like basically passes out until Grogu like get runs into the alien who like catch him stealing the fish the second time. Like you always saw like 15 minutes. There's like no dialogue in the movie. It's entirely on the Ludwig score.
Yeah, yeah. I was a little tired. Saw it on Thursday. I was like, that's that scene. I was getting out of it a little bit. But that's on me. It wasn't because of the movie. At first I was like, really? This is long. I can't believe the movie's not over. I couldn't believe it. I was like kind of telling people, the guy next to me, friend of the podcast, Joe Simone. But after like seeing the whole movie and then being like, yeah, that was a great scene that shows that, the old take care of the young take care of the old, right?
Yeah. There's the creed that Mando mentions at the like after he wakes up. It's like the old take care of the young, take care of the old. This is the way. The only time to get this is the way in the whole movie.
Yes. Yeah, we thought we'd get a couple more of those. We did not. But yeah, so really no complaints on that. And the action was just really fantastic. It really was. All of the action scenes were cool.
Yeah,
And they did a good job at just making a decent movie. It wasn't groundbreaking. It's not like I'm not gonna go tell people who are not Star Wars fans to go see it, but I'm also not gonna tell anyone who's like, I want to go see that movie. Should I see it? I'm never gonna say no. Definitely should.
yeah,
I think if you enjoy a fun action movie, go see it. I think that's what they needed to get back into theaters, actually. It was actually kind of perfect. They didn't need something groundbreaking. They didn't need something that's like Oppenheimer level good. They just needed something that was safe, it was fun, and it was not really controversial at all. Like, I can't see how anyone would say it sucked.
no.
Like, how?
I think people were saying it sucked went in expecting more of it than what it actually was. I think that's the argument here. Is like you came and like that's it. I think you went in there expecting, like, okay, here's season 4 of The Mandalorian. Like, I know all this stuff, and then like, wait, like he just hunted the first two bad guys with the New Republic, like, and that's all we did. Like, but I think there, if you go in like, sort of like, okay, let's see what they're up to here. Like, they do end up back where they started from where you end season 3, where like, they're going back to the ranch, basically, as Pete would say at the end. They has a new ship, and his old ship is still there. There's a lot of callbacks to the show I liked. I think you did a good job though of like just give us fun action. And on one thing I'll point out here, like they did so much with Grogu in this movie that like it was like it really he earned his place on the title of the movie because like we've always I know Pete's one his big complaints is always can Grogu not just eat cookies and be a tag along here like. Grogu is, sneaking into buildings. Grogu is stealing a pram to go chase down Ra the Hutt. Grogu is like building a hut to hide Mando, and Mando is like poisoned. Like he's taking care of his father figure. Like he's doing a lot. Like he makes a choice to not go back with the Anzellans when they escape the base on Nal Hutta, and he goes to go help his father. Like that's a lot of Grogu in this movie. It was very
Yeah,
impressive.
absolutely. It reminded me of the Goonies when they're walking around in the
Yeah.
sewers.
Yeah.
But he had a great movie. And, if we had to do, I don't know, we'll do MVPs, LVPs at some point. But I think you know my answer there. He had a great movie. But um, like you said, if you were expecting Luke Skywalker to show up with Ben Solo and R2 and Ahsoka and Boba Fett, then yeah, you might be disappointed. But honestly, it's on you for expecting that.
It is, and I do think the Grogu scenario here, I think, is important here because I think Grogu is like been the center of the marketing campaign for this movie. Like everywhere you look, it's like Grogu's at the Oscars. Grogu is like at baseball games. Grogu is doing 6-7 on the red carpet. Like Grogu is at the actors' roundtables with Pedro Pascal and Sigourney Weaver. Like this is all like Grogu this, Grogu that, and they know their market here, and they got a lot of people interested in that.
They did, and to be fair to Pete, he says that he doesn't like when Grogu just eats. He ate so much in this movie,
Oh
but he also did other things.
yeah, like they know what people liked, and like they were like, we're gonna find a meme somewhere with Grogu eating something, and like I'll give you guys a little tip tease for the audience. Like my way, because like I knew the ones that I got to keep track of the most in the actual movie itself was this is the way and how often Grogu eats. Like I brought a little index card, with a pen, and I was sort of like just ticking off like every time Grogu's like, this is a lot.
Yeah, it was like at least for the first like 3/4 of the movie, he was eating every time he was on the screen. And if
Yeah.
he wasn't eating, he was looking for a way to get food.
Yep. Yeah, I also appreciated that they did some good jobs with like, they gave you a lot of like callbacks to the show itself that like if you watch the show, you're like, oh yeah, I know that, or like I know like that this is happening, or like I recognize like that they have like all the directors as like pilots and the X-Wing sequence was pretty cool. I appreciated that. They made it so that like if you watch the show, you were rewarded, but like if you brought your dad to the movie, your dad's never watched the show. I don't think he would have been like too like annoyed, like, oh wait, I don't understand that reference.
Yeah, you make a good point. They did a fantastic job at appealing to both audiences in that, for example, you could have seen nothing and gone in there and understood everything. But at the same time, someone who's a Star Wars super fan had a field day because Literally every character in this movie, except for Sigourney Weaver's character, was in something else.
Yeah.
The twins had appeared already. Rhoda the Hutt has appeared. Rhoda the Hutt has appeared already. The bounty hunter. I'm sorry, his name escapes
Embo,
me. Embo was in the Clone Wars.
Zeb,
Obviously, Mando and Grogu, Zeb, like everyone was in something. They were all there before. It was just seeing them all in the same, it's
Carson
it's
Davis
just
shows
like
up.
Carson Taylor shows up. It's just like they're thrown into this movie, but you could have not known who any of them are and completely had no issues whatsoever. The only new characters, like entirely new, were Sigourney Weaver, the guy that they were going after. I forgot, Coin.
No, he wasn't even new. They were both from the Shadow Council episode in season three.
Oh, you're right. You're right. You're right. He has no lines though, but
They were there.
Martin Scorsese.
Yeah, Hugo Durant's the only other new character, realistically.
So not really many people were new characters, but at the same time, you were not reliant on knowing who they are. So they do a great job at appeasing both sides of the fan base there. People who have never seen it, people who have seen it all are both happy.
Yeah, I think that definitely is a big, 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 big help for that setup here. So I think it was kind of, like pivot to a couple of other like generic things, sort of wrap up the quick view here. I think there was a big debate going on online. Like you and I were keeping an eye on this between the critic scores and the audience scores. And I know you were big in the preview, like, oh, if we can get to like a 70 tomato meter, that will really help the casual audience. So I think we've settled in about what, it's a 62 about now as we're
62.
recording.
I just checked 62, which at the end of the day, it's not a terrible scale on the tomato scale. It's above average.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's not going to draw people in though, which would have been nice. I don't think it's a huge issue, but it's not going to draw people in. People who are on the fence about this movie are not going to see 62 and go, "Yeah, I'm going." But they
The
may
audience,
see 89 on audience score and then go see it.
yeah, the 89 on the audience score is very encouraging. Basically, like everybody who like goes and watches it for the most part, apart from like the people I feel like we're trying to like, get and do engagement bait on online about like, oh, just trying to get people mad about Star Wars. Like, I feel like everybody people who walked out of that theater said, I had fun. Like, if somebody asked if I should go watch this, I would say yes, you can go watch it, and have a good time. I think the audience score, I think, appeals more to the audience, to like the Star Wars executives here, because remember, the Rises, like the Last Jedi, the critics loved it, the fans hated it. Like, there's a very big
Yeah, I'm
difference.
not sure. I'd like to look actually. I know you're right about that. The fans hated it, but what about the other one? The Rise of Skywalker, did everyone just hate it?
I know, I think critics were
Or
down on
did,
it.
did the fans like it?
I think it was very mixed, the fans.
The fans was at 86. That's weird.
Yeah. But I do think in terms of
I don't know. I mean, I guess you could say that the Rise of Skywalker was cool. There was a cool action on the Rise of Skywalker and whatnot, and maybe that's what made some people like it. Like if you're not a huge Star Wars fan, maybe you like that movie. I don't know.
I mean, people, I think what you're getting in, because, okay, like, I've invested 8 movies and I want to see how this ends. I think you got a lot of that in there. Okay, like,
Yeah.
Her die, Ray won, cool. I think maybe you got that. And sort of like we had some fun
Hmm.
fights. I think that was that. I think the thing you watch this movie, especially, and you see some of the sequences that are like, where you have like three huts basically having a brawl in the middle of an alley. You have 15 minutes of a puppet, like wandering around a forest, not talking. Like, you could see why the critics are not giving this the highest scores, whereas like the audience, like, oh, that's just Grogu being cute and having and doing fun things. I think that's you could see the split of why the critics are not as high on this as the audience is.
Well, you sent the tweet that was very funny, like a day before the movie came out, I think, from the saying, it's like I can't believe that the critics are not loving this legacy sequel to the 2008 Clone Wars movie that involves Jabba the Hutt's son. So I mean, it kind of makes when you think about what the plot of this movie actually was, it makes sense that the critic wouldn't love it, and they don't hate it. To be fair, more critics liked it than disliked it. That's what the tomato meter is showing.
Yeah, I think that's also one thing. Plus, you also remember here, the last big project we got Star Wars wise, and I know like as much as we love Maul Shadow War, the critics not on this. The last big thing we got was Andor, and Andor is on a completely different bar than what this movie is trying to do. This movie is not trying to
Yeah.
be Andor the sequel. This movie is trying to be, let's have some fun at the movies. We'll go like have some popcorn, have some fun at night. Maybe the kids afterwards want to say, "Hey, Dad, can I get a Grogu plushie at the store on the tomorrow?" Or can like we go see this again next week. Like that's what you're hoping for if you're a Star Wars executive.
Yep. I think they may have gotten that.
Yeah. I think they did. And I think like a lot of the kids, I feel like we're loving the Grogu stuff in my audience, especially like but once when he builds the hut, he's trying to, fit Mando into the hut. And he keeps banging his head on the back of the hut. Like that was the biggest laugh in the entire movie.
Yeah. And then he realized that it wasn't big enough and he tried to
Yeah.
cover his feet with the leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. That was probably the biggest in mine as well, which again, there's barely any laughing whatsoever. But I can tell you this, everyone I saw the movie with all said the same thing. They all thought they had a good time and said it was a pretty good movie. Was it the best thing they ever saw? Absolutely not. No, but no one had any negative comments except it didn't connect to anything else. But again, I didn't expect it to.
I didn't expect it to either. Because I think like as we said, I think if you're going to, like you mentioned in the past, your dad is not watching the Disney Plus shows. If you're gonna go to him and say, okay, here's this new movie coming out, but you have to watch 3 seasons of the TV show, then a half season of this other TV show to understand what's going on. You can say there's too much work, I'm out.
Right. And to even echo to the audience how little of a fan my father is. I talked with him today about it, the movie, and he was like, "So it's in the past, right?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, it's Yoda, and he's a baby." I go, "No, no, no, it's a different character." And it's like, so that's how little, how fan he is.
Yeah, because I think if this way works, like they not to give you the title card is perfect. Like, okay, there's this Mandalorian bounty hunter. He's got an apprentice named Grogu, who's Baby Yoda, and they're hunting bad guys. That's all you need to know, and it works.
Yeah. And it's after the Empire has fallen, but there's still Imperial remnants. You're good.
Yeah,
You're good.
you're good. And like you get cool space battles, like you get a bunch of X-wing fights, like you get Zeb flying a U-wing, which is from Andor also, which I think is pretty cool to see that. Like were you happy with the new Razor Crest?
Yeah. It was kind of just rushed, I felt, but it doesn't bother me. I don't know. I just feel like this wasn't a movie that I need to look with a microscope at all these little details and how things were possible and how the pacing was. It's just like, yeah, he needed a Razor Crest, makes it more fun. Thankfully, he has one. Done.
Yeah, it showed it throw back to season 1 also, and he has the Razor Crest. People like that ship a lot more, I think, than the N1 Starfighter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, another audience pop from me is like when Grogu was like bouncing off the bed in the Razor Crest, like that got a huge pop from our audience.
Actually, one of the biggest pops in our audience was in the opening scene when Grogu was like waiting outside for him and the guy was coming and he was hiding behind that ice block.
Yeah.
That was one of the biggest in ours. People were laughing at that. But overall, a fun time.
Yeah. And also Grogu like furiously tapping on Mando's helmet when he sees the bombs about to go off was also a huge hit with the audience.
Yeah. I wish I was in a theater like that, honestly. But I almost saw the movie again.
Yeah. I
I
might
almost went because I was on vacation this weekend, and obviously, if you're in the Northeast, you know that it was not a good weekend to be on a vacation in terms of the weather. So we almost went, but we did not go again.
yeah, I may go the coming before we do the deep dive with Pete just to get refresh myself a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah. Before we go to the box office scores here, was this something you would recommend? Like, you think it's something you would consider going to see again?
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I was thinking about doing it yesterday, but I'm not sure if I will. Um, but I mean, if just so you know, I saw Rogue One like 6 times in theaters.
Yeah.
I saw The Force Awakens, I think, like 3 times in theaters. I think I saw The Last Jedi twice in theaters, and then that was when it stopped. I saw Solo once, and I've seen it more since then. But I haven't seen The Rise of Skywalker since the theater.
Yeah, I think I would be inclined to say, like I would be tempted to go again. Like if I have like people who haven't seen it with, like who would want to see the movie,
Yeah,
like, say, sure, I go with you. Like, and I know what happens. I can like pay more close attention to the stuff here. But like, I think good stuff. A good place to wrap up here is the box office results. So there has been a whole discourse online this weekend about, okay, is this, worse than Solo? It's gonna make about 100 million in the box office domestically, 160 worldwide, which is basically they're going to get their production budget back off this weekend, which Solo did not. It's been left out of many of the doom baiting headlines on, places like Variety and Hollywood Reporter and Deadline. I think the important thing to know here with the box office stuff here is like, I've said this, we'll talk about this next week, is that this movie it's got to get to about like 500, 600 here. If they're up to 160 now globally, I think they will get around there. But they have made this point, I think, on other venues here. Like, this is a movie where, it's not just box office sales. It's going to be people subscribing to Disney Plus to watch more of Mandalorian and Grogu. It's going to be the parents, like maybe taking the kids to Disney to Star Wars Land, or buying the Grogu action figures or the plushie. Like this movie will make its money back, like across multiple venues. I think this is gonna be successful for them.
I agree. And you have to keep in mind, which wasn't really that apparent during the movie, but you got to keep in mind the budget is less than half that Solo's was.
Yeah.
And I honestly didn't really notice it that much throughout the movie. You can say there maybe was a lack of set pieces. There weren't that many, which could potentially be how like you can notice that it was kind of a cheaper film, I guess, but didn't really stick out to me.
I mean, the thing you noticed with the budget was like you're getting Zeb for an entire movie looking great, which is something it's very hard to do on a TV show budget. And you
Yep.
also are getting like all these aliens that you're not getting in the TV show because it's expensive.
Yep.
So like I think the box office thing is a very misleading clickbait. Oh, the franchise is dead. It's doing worse than the worst movie. But like with the production budget and the marketing budget of about like 100, I think they say it's about a 265 estimate for budget and marketing. That's still less than Solo's budget was for the entire production without even the marketing.
Right. So I agree with you. I think that we will I think we'll be okay.
I think we will. Anything else you want to say before we wrap up the instant reaction here?
No, no, I am all good.
Yeah. So we'll be back next week. We'll be recording with Pete next week. We're gonna do a little deep dive, go deeper into the plot of the movie, go into, specifics about the characters, about Mando and Grogu, and still wild to think that we got Rana the Hutt back after after about 16 years.
Yep. It was very
18 years, excuse me.
very jacked.
Yeah. Yeah. The line also when they showed the puppet version of Rada as the baby version from Clone Wars, and they're like, he had a growth spurt. That got a huge laugh also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I don't think a lot of people in my audience even realize that that was him,
Yeah.
of course, but and I just picked a bad theater. That's on me.
I think you got a bad draw with the audience also because like I think this is also one of those things where we're in New York based and like Thursday night was like a Nick playoff game. So maybe there are people saying, like I'm not gonna miss the
Yeah,
Nick
could
game.
have been.
I'll go on Friday.
I definitely could have been. We were checking our phones throughout.
Yeah. Because I had a softball game Thursday night, so I did not go with you at that Thursday night. We got rained out. So I was, oh cool, let's watch the Nick game the entire time. So
Right.
yeah. So anyway, that's it for us this week. We'll be back next week for the deeper dive. And just on the suffering audience, hello again. This is our instant reaction pod. We are here. You want the deep dive? You have to go to Sky Guys for that one, though. That's not coming to you guys. You have to be
That's
on
right.
subscribe to the
Yeah,
Sky
yeah.
Guys pod.
Subscribe. Ask Guy Guys Podcast all over social media. Email us, skyguyspod@gmail.com, and you got to click us on the Spotify or whatever you get your podcasts.
Yep, you can do all that. Follow me on social media, mphillips331. It's MPHILIPS 331. We are this week's edition of Just in the Suffering podcast. We'll be out later in the week, but next week we are working on getting together an NBA Finals preview episode here, and we are one win away from the New York Knicks being in that spot, Nick.
Yeah, it's a very exciting time for the city of New York, for the surrounding areas as well. People are very hyped up about it, as they should be. This is a team that looks basically unstoppable.
Yeah, as we're recording right now, they are up 25-22 late in the first quarter of Game 4. If they win Game 4 tonight, they will be in the NBA Finals for the first time since 1999.
Yep, absolutely crazy.
Same year Phantom Menace came out.
But look at that.
All right, so that's it for us this week, our instant reaction to the movie. We will be back next week with Pete for a full deep dive into The Mandalorian and Grogu. Until then, may the Force be with you.